So I have a question for you. What would you consider to be the top five most powerful things someone can do to regain their health and maintain their health?
I would say the very first would be to just clean up your life, like just clean. Where it depends on the individual personality
Hmm.
where these what order these would go in.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of individuals once they start to eat cleaner and stop the things that are poisonous from coming into their world, like alcohol, just wherever they're abusing things.
Hmm.
I see that their minds are able to come back online a little bit more, and then they can make better decisions. So, really, just wherever you know you're not supposed to be doing something, have the discipline to say no to that thing. So, if it's white sugar, and know it tastes great, but an adult would say, I know that's not good for my body, and I know it's leading to my diabetes or my, um, you know, liver problems or gut problems or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And having the maturity to then say, I'm going to stop doing that behavior. So, where one can act is just not doing a thing or even just fasting. Just stop.
Hmm.
Just stop the insults. Okay,
Yeah.
that's huge. The second would be then to actively clean up.
Hmm.
So coffee enemas, for example, are really great thing to learn because it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. It's always there for you when you're in pain or your gut's upset or you're constipated or your mood is off or your hormones are off. It's like a really powerful blood and liver cleanser that can take you far, can really take you far in a short amount of time. So that I really promote those because it's clean and it's a cleanup crew for your blood, and it really helps your liver then after do more of that cleanup.
Hmm.
I really do like that approach of actively, helping the system. Um, I really also think that people need to learn about urine therapy. I really, really do because it's anything that's life-saving should be known about. I don't
Yes.
care what the thinking is about it, wherever your programming is, where you want to go, ew, that's gross, whatever, that's fine. Just if you're at a place where you're watching us, I would assume that you're mature enough to know that there's a lot of things in life that you've been programmed
Yeah.
to go the other way with, and that when new information comes that you have cognitive dissonance and how to work through that, like when you
Hmm.
get triggered, what that looks like. I'm sure there's a lot of pattern recognizers that are
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
So so it's the same thing with something like urine therapy, but especially if you have like anaphylaxis, some any severe reaction to a sting, a bite, a food, an allergy, a spring allergy, your own urine has the antidote, and you can serve your own life, using it
Well,
topically, internally,
I'll give you
all
a quick
kinds of
example of
ways.
that. I'm stopping keeping bees this year, but for the last 3 years, I've kept bees at the local community garden. And last year, the guy that I do it with was away, and I was looking after them on my own. And the site is up in the hills, nowhere near anything, very little phone signal. And I got stung. A whole bunch got inside my suit. I got stung 16 times around my legs, around my neck. And I thought, right, this could be potentially a real big problem because I can't get back to the car and get back to where I need to be. So I covered myself in my own pee and then I drank a load in a cup. And I wasn't even particularly sore that night. I looked like I'd been beaten up a bit, but nowhere near where I should have been.
Yeah,
And
very,
that
very
kind of knowledge
powerful.
is really important.
Really important, like
Yeah.
literally life-saving. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I'm not shy to share it. I
Yeah.
don't I don't mind the judgments and stuff because I had the judgments as well when I
Hmm.
first found out about it.
We
Well,
all
not
do.
the first time, really the second time. The first time I used it topically for scabies and it healed my problem,
Mm.
and then I forgot all about it. But when I remembered it and then found out about drinking it,
Hmm.
I had the same thing. Ooh, gross, like, all your negative associations with
Yeah.
urine
Well,
came up to the surface, which is totally cool. Like, let it come up. Just
yeah.
if people would just learn that it's okay. If you're negative thinking, which is all your programming, when it comes up, that's not you. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. So just, oh, yeah, there's the tapes, blah, blah, blah. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
Oh, blah, 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 right? Okay, that's just let it come out like clouds clearing by the sun, you know? And then go, okay, so what do I really think about this? Oh, let me
Yeah.
read more. I don't know anything on the topic. Let me
Mm.
educate
If
myself.
you want to read more,
Let-
I put a web page with a whole load of stuff on it.
You did amazing with that. You
Yeah.
did incredible work to help bring urine therapy to the light. And
Mm.
so I thank you for that because, again, like this is major stuff. My daughter, who's 12, knows how to use her urine for anything. Like the worry level goes way down
Yeah.
as a parent when you know your child knows how to use these things
Yeah.
for emergencies and to help people help themselves. Like it's really
Yeah. It's
a
huge.
settled mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's huge. So,
it's huge. So then I would say the next would be there's a few there would be all about the mind and emotions and really sorting that shit out. Okay, like just whether you have to write a diary, whether you dance to express your emotions, whether you however you need to get your emotional clearance happening for
mhm.
you, that is like one of the top 5 because we build up all this emotional stress inside of our bodies and we just cope with it. We don't release, we don't reflect well, we don't go into the sensations. We like to avoid the discomfort so much. And that's why one of the things I like so much is the Undo app, which is a natural meditation direction,
Yeah.
because it's exactly that. It's not
Yeah.
just, I'm going to meditate and thoughts are going to go by and I'm going to let the thoughts go by and that kind of traditional meditation. Mm-mm. This is, I'm going to scan my body and I'm going to find where there's discomfort.
Yeah.
Or I have a thought. I'm going to trace the thought to see where else is this thought come from in my
Yeah.
body.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to go into it deeper and I'm going to feel all the
Mhm.
feels, you know? And in insights, cool insights are going to come about that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get like my own release
Yeah.
and feel lighter and clearer and more
Yeah.
energized and sleep better, like all the benefits
Yeah.
of just not suppressing your emotions
Yeah.
and actually acknowledging what you feel. So that would
Absolutely.
be
Well,
the
it's huge. Yeah. And I'll add a story to that. And also, I've got a podcast which is coming out, I think, Sunday night. I was speaking to Nick Lavery, who's the Olympic rower that's a real big proponent of that. And he was telling me some interesting things about how it's affected his training and his recovery. But as an example for me, when I explained to you earlier on, we were talking before we recorded this about the breakthrough I had, part of that was I noticed a lot of tension around here. And I tend to feel stress in my solar plexus, which is also a typical Virgo thing. But when I went actually sat there and said, right, and there was a very specific point of discomfort. And when I sat there, Amanda, it was like I stepped back to that traumatic moment I told you about, that one of the three, literally, it took my breath away because it was so visceral and so real. It was like I was there. And immediately, and that's been a huge stress point for me, and I've tried not to think about it, immediately it started to get kind of less fuzzy and it had less emotional impact. And if I go looking for it now, I can't even find it. So rather like in German New Medicine, where they talk about trauma being stored in the body, if you do this meditation, and I recommend you do too, you will find areas in your body all the time that will suddenly release a memory from decades ago sometimes. But also you can use it during the course of the day when something happens, it doesn't go your way, or you feel stressed or someone's unpleasant with you. Instead of just brushing on and moving on with your day, you can settle down at a moment and say, where do I feel that? And you'll notice where you feel it in your body and you can resolve it immediately. And if you're not carrying all that shit with you, it's as toxic as any other toxic product you can put in your body. I think, so it's a massive, really easy way to release. And if you lie in bed like I do in the morning, and I just kind of let my mind wander, I wander around my body and I feel it. You'll notice things like there'll be a pain that comes up and you'll think about it and you'll sit with it and it disappears. And you become so much more aware of all these subtle things that are going on in this magnificent outfit we wear to experience life through. But you can release all the junk. And you're absolutely right. It's a massive point of detoxification.
Yes, very, very essential. I mean, I just did an ayahuasca ceremony, a few
Mm,
ayahuasca ceremonies, and grandfather tobacco ceremony to start, which was purging. So
yeah,
it's purging emotions,
yeah,
purging programming, purging all kinds of things that have attached to you energetically and have been condensed.
yeah,
And you feel after you go through this, you feel more yourself, but also you just feel lighter
Yeah.
You feel physically lighter, you feel mentally lighter, you don't feel as burdened by everything, and it's like night and day how you feel.
Mm.
um, and this is why I promote purging, cleansing, releasing, movement, breath work,
Yeah.
vibrational work of any sort. Get it out, get it moving, get
Mm.
it like this is a place of constant movement.
Yeah.
Well, it's a place of stillness, but also
Yeah.
ironically of constant movement inside of ourselves. And so I feel like that work is, you know, tantamount to like becoming an adult, healing the inner child,
Yeah.
not letting your ego run you constantly. Um, it's always going to be a challenge. It's always going to be work. There's always going to be new challenges, but that's what makes you more resilient. That's what keeps you on your toes. It was keeps you in that zone.
Mm.
Um, yeah, very, very, very important.
Mm.
So I would say the last piece would be there's a bunch there, but I would say anything to do with your awareness of water, like where water is in your life, what the type of waters you're ingesting, being aware of structured water, what the fourth phase of water is,
Mm.
prayers with water when you're showering, asking the water to cleanse your field, your energy field, to um, just really be conscious of the intelligence of water and how much water is part of us,
Mm.
and how to keep your waters cleansed and clean. Everything to do with just water awareness and knowledge, I think, is really important,
Mm.
because these are big pieces we're talking about that will
Yes.
get you a lot.
Yeah.
If you understand water, for example, then you understand homeopathy, because you know that water has a memory, and you can program the water, you
Yeah.
can put information into the water,
Yeah.
and then you can take that as medicine, right? There's just so many layers of
Mm.
awareness
And by the way, if that
around
sounds
water.
weird to someone, if you look at Masaru Emoto's work or Veda Austin more recently, you'll have very clear pictures of how water is programmed, and hopefully that will make you think a little bit more about the kind of stuff that you're putting into yourself in so-called entertainment, because it's affecting all the water in you.
Yes. And Fiona Gardner's work, because she does messages in urine.
Oh wow.
So there's messages. So then there's the Bigelsons doing the messages in blood,
Blood.
which is a lot of water.
Hmm.
Veda Austin, the messages in just her
Yeah.
freezing water technique. And then the urine, Fiona Gardner's messages in urine. And you see that all the waters will show us holograms and will show us information. And
Yeah.
one of the things the Bagelsons is trying to teach is that the artifacts that we think that people who are doing live blood cell analysis, or dark field microscopy, are seeing are actually holograms. They're not real artifacts, like physical artifacts.
Mm.
They're holographic information that is actually diagnostic. It can give you a lot of insight about what's happening in your holism.
Mm.
And rather than, oh, I see, like, a spike protein, or I see a this, or I see that, that's not what's happening. Or I see a self-assembling whatever.
Nanobot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's information about what the body holographically is projecting.
Mm.
And so you can use it for diagnostic information, and you can use it for correction.
Mm.
But we really mistake a lot of materialistic aspects for subtle energy.
Yeah.
Like we're still very materialistically programmed,
Hmm.
right? And instead of understanding that really everything's come from the spiritual and become dense here,
Hmm.
and so the source is spiritual, not material.
Hmm.
And we'll always come back there, no matter how far down you go into materialism, you're going to come full circle back to the spirit.
Yeah.
And uh and so understanding that and learning that is really powerful, because you can then think about, like, I even think about what the water is like in the food that I'm eating.
Hmm.
And and what's the water like, say you eat out, I mean, or you buy something that's packaged, to packaged food. What's the water like that was put into that food, and
And
what's
what's
it
it been
saying
exposed to on the way?
on the way?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tune and charge and alter all the waters of all the things that come into my house in my life. And sometimes I'll use like a singing bowl tuner
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
or I have chimes that I will retune the water, or I
Hmm.
have my terahertz frequency devices, the
Yeah.
iTeracare one, and I'll
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
to reorganize the water,
Yeah.
and it's very potent.
But it's huge. And it's funny, isn't it? Because the subtle stuff, the subtle energies, they have a much bigger impact than people realize. Much bigger.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely.